Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to our second podcast video in this series that we'll be doing. And today for you guys, we'll be covering the topic of buying a home in 2023 and basically how to get through the steps of getting you from point A all the way to the very end of it to a successful closing. And so once again, I'm Andrew Marshall with MHC Realty, and I'm along here with
Rick.Gillespie. I'm at HomeBridge Financial doing home mortgages.
How's it going, guys? My name is Parker.Morgan. I work at Fidelity National Title in our sales department.
Excellent.
Awesome. And so, as you guys know, in the first podcast, Rick and I were in that one, and today is the first official day that Parker is joining us. So glad that he was able to come tonight. And so we'll go ahead and roll the intro, and then once we come back, we'll kind of walk you guys through that process. All right, welcome back, you guys. So tonight we'll be discussing, once again, kind of the most important steps that you as the consumer client, whether you have a lot of experience or it's your first time diving, kind of doing a deep dive into all this, can not only be very overwhelming, but very stressful. So you definitely have to have the right people advocating for you and on your side. The best part about all three of us is you get the full spectrum, full picture of everything on the real estate agent side, which is myself. And then you have the lending side, which is Rick's area of expertise. And then Parker is on the title side. And so all three of those combined, it's kind of a win-win-win. Because if there's something that I can't answer, I can reach out and talk to Rick about it. And if there's something that Rick doesn't know that's more title related, then we just go to our main man Parker over here and get the answers for you guys. So what I would like to do tonight, and I know what a lot of people have been talking about this, is with the interest rates and all of the craziness in the world kind of going on right now, we want to be that anchor that helps you guys kind of feel like, you can still succeed. And so what I'd like to do tonight is walk you guys through the process of going from somebody who is potentially interested in buying, but you have no idea where to start, what questions to ask. And then basically at the end of this podcast, the hope is that you guys can walk away from this feeling not only confident, but very informed on how to get there. And so, yeah, we'll kind of open it up, and I'm going to basically walk you guys through a scenario and kind of ask Rick and Parker what the right solution would be and basically how to get you guys there. So just to give you an example, let's say you are a first-time home buyer and you are really, really interested in buying houses. Typically what happens, as you guys both know, you go online to the Zillows or Realtors of the world or any other websites that showcase houses. You see a house, you fall in love with the house, just by seeing the pictures online, and you're like, wow, you get super excited. And then a lot of people fall into the trap of, really, really wanting to make their next move, but they're like, I don't know how, I don't know what to do at this point. And so the best part is, me as the agent, I can not only answer any house-related questions that you, the client, might have, but I can also give you guidance and, basically go to the source on the areas of expertise with both of these guys. And the best part is that you're not only getting your questions answered, but you guys are able to walk away feeling much more knowledgeable. So, for example, once again, you find the house, you reach out to me, you say, hey, Andrew, I want to go look at so-and-so house on this day. I set up a time for us to go look at the house, let you in, and then once you see it in person, 9 times out of 10, if it's the right house, you're going to fall in love with it and be super excited, as you should be, because especially if it's your first house and you're like, okay, man, like what do we do now? And then the best part is instead of me saying, oh, I don't know, I can say, hey, I have an awesome lender. His name's Rick.Gillespie. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable. This is his area of expertise. Let me reach out to him and see, exactly what steps you will basically need to do. And for those steps, I'm going to actually let Rick explain that. And then once Rick kind of goes over that next step of, getting you pre-qualified and what that entails, then I'm going to go ahead and, hand things over to Parker at that point, and we can kind of get his perspective on title's role as we get into escrow and everything keeps chugging along. Because, some people might not understand or fully get why all three of us are necessary. But once again, at the end of this podcast, I hope that we kind of answer that question for you. And so, without further ado, I'll let Rick kind of explain to you guys how to go from me to getting pre-qualified.
Well, I'm going to interject something right there. When someone does go out, they're going to find a house online that they love.
Yeah,
we all
absolutely.
Do. Yeah. We all do. And they're stoked. So they finally connect up with you. And I would encourage every agent to do this too, is that to save you the trouble of taking somebody out to see a house, might want to consider at that moment saying, hey, before we run out there, take 20 minutes. It's not a long process. Call my guy, Rick, and over the phone, so we don't have to meet face-to-face, I can typically get them pre-qualified within about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point,
it encourages you to then you can budget your time better with your clients, right? Yep. It also gives them a clearer picture of price point, what
which
their
is
payment's
huge,
going to look like.
Very huge, yeah.
Yeah, and it's free. So that's another piece. A lot of people think they have to, when they fill out an application, it costs. It does
pay
not.
something or
even running their credit. Know that as a lender, I cannot charge them. So that's kind of a nice starting point, right?
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
The reason why I like that too, it gives not only you and the client confidence. Now you might open up the door to more properties, right? I know they love the one, but or I've seen this scenario too where it's like, hey, guess what? You were close, but you might want to look at a different price point, and they can circle back to you, and you can show them, hey, look what I found for you, right? So you can still walk them into a home. It just is a great precursor to then going out and falling in love with something, and then finding out that you can't afford it.
Yeah, because to Rick's point, that is the worst feeling in the world when you find something that you love, and it was so close, you almost had a grasp on it. And then, as your agent, being there to advocate and help you, I would feel horrible too because, the last thing I want, well, first and foremost, I want you to find your dream home and actually be able to not only afford it, but be comfortable with the payment every month.
Sure.
And just get you in a really comfortable spot where you fall in love with it and that you can achieve it. So to Rick's point, absolutely good point, man.
Yeah. And then just to walk through the process, it's a very basic process. It's not a lot up front. You're going to put in an application. This is everything you're typically going to do. Your name, your address, your social security, your birth date. And then we skip over after running credit. Credit looks good. Then we go over to the income piece. Just kind of walk through that fairly simply. A lot of people know what they make because they're doing monthly budgets, right?
Yeah.
And then you really just answer a few questions. Hey, have you had a bankruptcy? Have you had any challenges in life, right? How's your down payment? Are we going to need to talk about, maybe we need somebody to come in with a gift. Maybe we need to, we can kind of have, and again,
kind of play around a little bit.
Just a little bit. We don't do a super deep dive right there, but you at least want to paint this picture because really ultimately what we're trying to get to is your debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
When it comes to, everybody runs around and, yes, it's important. Please take care of your credit. That's huge. A lot of people are doing a much better job of that these days because it's more on the front of their mind. Through all their apps, everybody's getting their credit score, so it's
I feel like those are huge for sure.
But not many people sit down and calculate a debt to income ratio, right?
No.
And that's
not something you think about on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's just basically all your debts, from all your car loans to your credit card payments to any student loans, and now you're going to throw in this housing payment. That's the debt piece.
Makes sense. Okay.
Right? And then it's divided by your gross monthly income, and it gives us a percentage. And what we're shooting for, typically, Trust me, if it was black and white, it would be much easier, but it's not. We're wanting to land in that 45% range, okay? That's something we can work with. Well, then you turn around after that, I can then generate a letter back to you.
Pre-approval letter.
And again, a lot of people like to throw that term pre-approval, pre-qualification, and so we can help you guys out of what really that means. A pre-qualification means it's me. I'm the only one that's touched this file. I'm the one that's talked to the client. I've looked at the income. I've ran what we call a desktop underwriter. It's not a human. It's just a system.
Mm-hmm.
And if it spits out approve, then I can write you a pre-qualification letter.
Gotcha.
Now,
makes sense.
if that individual that's looking at a home wants to feel super confident when they go to make an offer and want to be pre-approved, I take their file with their income and I do send it to an underwriter.
Okay.
They then use that same underwriting system, but then they are the pros.
Yeah.
They're the ones that sign their name on the bottom line, and they give us a pre-approval. So from credit and income, we're done.
Okay.
Now all you have to do is you got to find them a house.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the fun part.
So you can do the pre-qual, though, is pretty, it's good enough. It's, hopefully I know what I'm doing, right? Yeah. I'm batting 1,000. Haven't had a pre-qual that I put out that did not go to approval. So
good track record.
You want that because you don't want people just throwing letters out there and then come back and then guess what? All involved. Have a lot of money involved, have a lot of heartache involved just because I didn't take the time to do my job correctly.
One piece that I'll speak to, too, from experience, you guys, is I had a one-case scenario where it was somebody who was a lender that was out of state. They were based out of New York, so already a little sketchy. Me being, in the position that I was in, I obviously wanted to get my clients the house still. So I kind of went to bat for them and reached out to this lender. I won't say the name, keep it professional. But basically, long story short, I reached out to them and we ended up getting the loan closed. But because they were out of state, a lot of things happened. A lot of errors were made. I obviously didn't have a personal relationship with these guys. I had no idea who they were. Never saw them face to face. So point being is that Rick is somebody that I personally know, but he's also local. So if, you guys were sitting with me after we looked at a house and you really just, were wanting to talk to him in person instead of over the phone, then I'd say, hey, yeah, great. Let's set up a meeting in his office. And, very convenient as far as his office location. It's basically just a drive away. So then we could actually sit down and talk to you. Yep. And it's so nice to have that face-to-face interaction. Yep. I feel like that not only builds rapport, but trust. And, this is the biggest purchase you're ever going to make. And so you want to have a good, solid team that knows what they're doing and them and have that relationship. So that's another key piece that, I just wanted to bring up because it's huge to have local agents, lenders, and then obviously title. So,
right. Well, then we'll go to the next step. So I get you that letter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, me personally, and you guys can speak to this too, is I don't think there's an agent out there that's going to look at an offer without a pre-qualification letter.
Absolutely not.
Not in this day and age.
Well, and more power to them, right? Because they want to make sure that you and your client are jumping through these hoops because, once again, all they're doing is trying to stop you from ending up being disappointed.
Yeah.
Right? For both the buyer and the seller now.
Because the seller side, too, that's main goal is to, sell their house, and they want it to be as clean, as smooth for you, the buyer, as well.
Right.
So it's kind of just a little bit of hey, word of caution, we need this prior. And so once again, the biggest reason for that is because when you guys fall in love with a property, which is very easy to do, we want to make sure that you guys don't miss out on it and you get what you want ultimately. So
right. So with that being said too, and I've had this happen a lot more too, and I was, anybody who's out there buying, when you make an offer and let's say it gets accepted, that listing agent, I'm finding it, I don't know, Parker, you guys probably maybe get some calls too, but they're reaching out more now. They have these questionnaires that as a listing agent, when they see a buyer, I'm getting a phone call.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, how's their credit? Has this gone through underwriting? Like they're doing some due diligence. Now I'm able to speak to that in very generic terms. Like I can't say, oh, their credit score is this or their income is this. I can say, that I have run desktop underwriter, that they have met all qualifications. Like, I can speak to quality.
Yeah, because you have that layer of protection that's for you guys to basically, like he's going to keep your stuff that he can't share, private and personal.
Right.
So just to give you guys peace of mind that he's not out there telling, Bob, Joe, and Sally all of these.
No, the
things.
nitty gritty.
So,
but
he makes $120K a year.
Right.
And he's got this in debt already.
Yeah. But I will tell you,
That'd be
though,
good.
that I love that opportunity because I sell my clients, man.
Yeah.
I said they were prompt with getting me documentation. Like, I just run through a litany of kind of their character.
Yep.
So that if they've got 2 identical offers, hopefully when they get done talking to me, they like you better.
Well, and that's the icing on the cake too, right? Because if any other lender, they were reaching out to them and you don't have that relationship.
Sure.
Not only that, but, Rick can touch base with me after that phone call with the seller's agent and say, hey, Andrew, heads up, just got a call, went really well. And most of the time in this industry, it's transparency and honesty and integrity. So if you're working with an agent on the seller side who has all of those morals and is, being transparent with your lender, then, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're probably going to be very honest with you too. And that's going to end up having a very smooth transaction, which benefits you guys immensely.
Yep. Right.
But then it also makes all of our job that much better because, we're building relationships, and this is 100% a relationship business.
Yep.
So
it should be.
Yeah.
Not everybody's doing it that way, but it should be. But also,
especially on the agent side.
And I will tell you too that when I get a call from that listing agent, there's always this, hey, how quick can we get this done? Well, if they pick up the phone, they're calling a 1-800 number, calling somebody who's not picking up the phone. What are you going to get, right? Like, I can speak to, hey,
kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah,
we've already got this at this level. My turn times are 24 hours. You need anything, and I then take it to another level. So I've got you on the email. I've got the client on the email. I got title on the email, and every Friday, I'm giving everybody a heads up. All right, this is where we're at, right? So the listing agent can now let the seller know, hey, I got an email from Rick. Turns out they're already through underwriting and they're approved. Now it's gone from a pre-qual to a pre-approval.
So it's getting more serious.
The appraisal is been ordered. Its due date is this. It's typically 7 days, right?
Yep.
When the appraisal comes in, boom, I'm like, appraisal's in. We're going for final underwriting. So through the whole process, because there is nothing more frustrating when buying a house when you don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially as the buyer, imagine sitting there and you're going through a typical standard 30-day escrow.
Sure.
And you're kind of scratching your head and you're not hearing back from your agent.
Right.
Or, there's no communication from the lender or the agent, either of you guys reaching out. They can't get a hold of the title. And then, me as the agent, being, first and foremost, I would never do that. I'm always going to reach out and let you guys know what's going on. But let's just say hypothetically, there are agents that I know of that have been in that situation, and they're either no longer agents or they've just had a lot of bad things happen because of that. A lot of deals fall apart, right? And once again, we're on your guys' side and we want you guys to succeed. So that's why that is huge for us, and you always get that transparency with us. So, yeah, great point. And it's nice to basically just be able to reach out and get an answer whenever you need it.
You gotta have it, because it can be nerve-wracking. And so what we do, we calm the nerves, right?
Yeah, especially for a first-time home buyer where it's like you're throwing a bunch of money down.
Right.
A lot of money, yeah.
I know I'm trying to buy a house, but why am I giving this guy money over here, over here? And but there's a reason for everything, and communication is key.
Well, that's you bring up a good point too. And I always say this to the clients at the very onset, and it's funny because they always get afraid to pick up the phone. And I would encourage anybody, I don't care if you use us or not, call your lender.
Yeah.
You pick up the phone because typically it's about a 3-minute conversation and the nerves are calmed. Right? Because and I don't know who came up with this phrase, but man, living it nails it on this one. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you are unclear on what's going on, reach out. And I'm a huge proponent. Call at 8 o'clock at night. I'm picking up my phone because I'd rather have you call me at 8 o'clock at night, have a 3-minute conversation and find out that, oh, by the way, this is how this works. And you go, oh, that's not what I thought. calm down. You're going to sleep pretty good.
Yeah, you're going to have a good night's sleep.
Right? Versus you're going to toss and
turn
turn all night. Call me in the morning. Next thing you know, we're not talking. And I'm like, I can save you the stress. Just call me.
That's a great
Or
point.
text. Text works too. But a lot of times the conversation, because you are talking in like financial terms,
Usually phone calls a little bit
quicker.
Because those are going to be long texts.
Yeah, I just had a guy call me today, and he was just like, hey, I read something somewhere, and he had read on credit reports or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I could have texted him like, don't worry about it. No.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
but
look at that.
I called him and just said, hey, that does not apply to you, and here's why. Oh, thanks, man. And then it was over.
Yeah.
Right?
Because that can be a dark rabbit hole to go down to, especially with the World Wide Web at our fingertips.
Oh, my goodness.
Kind of like looking up your symptoms on WebMD.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
What's this sore on my back?
Yeah. And then it just kind of gets your mind racing. And
I got a tapeworm.
Bad things. So please feel free to always reach out. We're always here to help you guys. Yeah. And, you wouldn't, once again, go to WebMD for doctor advice. You'd probably go see your doctor, right?
There it
so,
is.
For home advice, please come to us. We're the experts in that field. So kind of switching gears now.
Sure.
Rick, appreciate all the advice on that. And so that essentially gets us to kind of, go over what we've already discussed. That gets you in to see the house. And then that gets you the pre-qual / pre-approval / getting all the financial stuff in order. And then at this point, we find you the house. We have the letter from Rick. We basically submit the offer. If it's your dream house, hopefully these sellers respond accordingly. And then we get you guys in. You are officially in your 30-day escrow, and you're like, sweet, this is awesome. This is the best feeling in the world. We're super pumped. What's next, Andrew? And 9 times out of 10, I get asked that question very often. And I love it because, then I'm able to basically say, okay, guys, like here's where we're going. And, here's the title company we're using. I've used Parker and, Fidelity, National Title very many times. Always a great experience. Love everybody over there. Parker's a great guy. And so now, love for you to be able to kind of walk them through what the next steps are once we're in that 30-day escrow and what your guys' job, is primarily to do there, whether it's, with their escrow money check. So if you want to kind of start there and just walk us through what that 30 days looks like.
Yeah, so after Andrew gets an offer over to title and escrow, does the negotiating, it goes to what's called an escrow officer. And the escrow officer, what they're meant to do is to be a neutral third party that holds on to funds. What that does is it makes sure no one gets screwed over in a transaction, and everything that's in the contract goes forth.
Would it be safe to say that you guys are basically like the gatekeeper who makes sure that the money's safe, the money isn't going anywhere, and it's basically, for you as the buyer's peace of mind, but then also the sellers have peace of mind too, because it's a neutral third party essentially.
Yeah, so it's just meant to make sure everything happens fairly and everything that's written in the contract happens the way it's written.
Yeah.
So after you get funds, the escrow officer will go in, open the file with title, and then basically title will do the research on the property and make sure that it's free and clear of all liens.
Okay.
And then it'll basically keep you from losing that property if you ever go to sell it or try to buy it.
Something happens. Yeah,
exactly. But escrow is really important just because you don't want to lose money over anything.
Yeah.
Because of bad decisions or bad contracts written.
Absolutely.
But basically, at the end of the day, title and escrow is where your buyer's going to come in to sign documents and finish that transaction. So we're here to make it as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
Answer questions for explanations. End of the day, just reach out and call your agent, your lender, your title and escrow, and they will get your resource. So.
And the biggest thing too, just to kind of go along with what Parker's saying, during that signing process, it's huge to have somebody that knows what they're doing, and they've always just been so awesome at the closing table. And so Tammy Knobloch, she is one of the senior escrow officers that works alongside Parker over there. Parker's area of expertise is more on the sales side, but he sees everything that goes on there as far as the signings go too. So, my last signing, big stack of papers, you guys. It's probably going to be the most paperwork you ever sign or have to sign. And it's very overwhelming, but the best part is that they're there to make it as easy as possible for you. So, a stack of 100 papers, at first you're like, oh, wow, this is going to be crazy. But then she just walks you through every single page. There's complete transparency. And by the end of it, you got a big smile on your face and you just realize like, wow, I just, that's like one of the steps because technically you have to wait until you fund and record.
Yep.
And Parker can explain that a little bit better than I can. But that basically happens after all the papers are signed.
Yeah, so when you get the documents signed, we basically go back through and check one more time to make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, just for errors and omissions and all that.
So do we.
And we...
It's big in this industry.
Yeah, we basically communicate with the lender and be like, are we okay to release funds? Right. And did everything happen the way it was supposed to?
And you kind of wait for the green light.
Yeah, so from a seller point of view, you're sitting there looking at your account and you're like,
what's happening?
Where my money at?
Where when am I going to get paid?
Yeah,
some people are moving other places and need those funds to get into a different house, and it's a lot of money. So there's a lot of emotions involved. So it's really refreshing when you find someone that knows what they're doing and is very calming to anyone.
Yeah.
In such a high stress world, it goes a little quick, and people tend to go straight to anger like that. So
pretty quick. Yeah, we wear multiple hats, but once again, we're here to calm your nerves and make sure that everything goes as smoothly as possible. There will be some hiccups here and there, if we're being honest, but our job is to smooth those out as best possible and get you guys to the finish line ultimately. And so, once again, walking through this whole process, I hope that helps you guys understand how we go from you seeing a house on Zillow or Realtor or anywhere out there on the web, or maybe your friend sends you a link to something and says, hey, this would be a perfect house for you. Let's get you into it. And you're like, okay, where do we start? And I think a lot of people are hungry and thirsty right now to get into a house, and they're so sick of renting.
Sure.
But they just don't know where to start. And those are the kind of people that, we're hoping this podcast will reach. Don't get me wrong, we're still wanting to talk and help as many of you out there that might be fourth or fifth go around. Maybe you're moving from out of state. Doesn't matter your situation. We just want to help you. But, tonight's primary focus obviously being that we wanted to make sure that we can help walk you through the process of the start to finish. And so we really hope you guys, got the full glimpse and full spectrum of kind of how to do that. So before we wrap things up, just going back to both Rick and Parker here, do you guys feel like there's anything that we missed that's super important?
Well,
that,
you brought up, it does get a little intense at the end when you're finally at that place where you're going to sign. And so I spend a lot of time with my clients preemptively going over what they're going to see.
Kind of mentally?
Hey, when we go into that closing room with the escrow officer, you're going to see that stack, and you're going to think, what in the world am I signing? Yep. So let's walk through. I'm going to tell you ahead of time, so when you see it, you're going to be like, I know what that is.
Yeah,
so because there's nothing worse than feeling like, did I just sign something I shouldn't have?
Yeah.
Education is key. That just takes stress down to a level of fine. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm signing.
Yep.
It also brings in an element too, because I think it's key, and you guys can speak to this. I want that person every day they walk through the door, they put the key in there and walk through their front door. I don't want them saying, man, why'd I buy this house?
Yeah, it's never a good thing.
Man, Rick ruined my whole. I loved the house until I went and got a loan from Rick, right? So
yeah, we hope they're not going to say that.
No, so but can they walk in and be like, man, this is awesome. So thankful to work with Andrew and Parker over at Fidelity, and Rick hooked me up. Like a positive vibe every day they go home, right?
And the relationship doesn't end when we close. It starts, in my opinion. Right. It's a lifelong thing, so we're always here for you guys. So to Rick's point, we want you guys to love your house, of course.
Absolutely.
But then also love the people that got you there.
Yep.
And that is what makes the experience, in my opinion, because the house is one thing. It's going to be the way that it is and the way that it was designed and the square footage and all this and that and this HOA and this neighborhood. But the people that you work with are going to come in a variety, basically like a variety mix, like Chex Mix, right? You never know what you're going to get. So it's always nice when you...
We're not sponsored by Chex Mix by any means, by the way.
maybe
well,
someday.
we are.
Delicious, though.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
They are good. They are good. Love the Costco pack. So
there you go.
yeah, it's something that, to Rick's point, we want you guys to be ultimately happy. And so, yeah, that's a great point, man.
Yeah.
And then, Parker, did you feel like we kind of covered everything in the fidelity title sector of things, or?
Yeah, just as far as like making sure that you're happy with your transaction at the end of the day. And it does feel good, I'm sure, to walk through the door and be like, wow, I didn't pay my landlord this money. I paid it. I paid it to myself.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy process saving up the money or even getting to that income level to where you need to be to buy a house. But
that's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it's totally worth it in the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
especially the amount of equity that you can gain. It's incredible. I've gotten, a couple of my past clients into the house, and then, they have already just in that 30 days gotten, it obviously varies equity wise, but they're never disappointed when they see the numbers and they're like, oh, wow, like that's what I got it for. And this is where it's at.
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. So kind of sky's the limit. Equity is just one other piece. And, maybe in the next podcast, we'll go further into that and discuss like the benefits of all that. But, mainly once again, tonight's focus was just kind of going full circle with you guys from start to finish. We hope you guys learned something tonight. I hope you guys really, have a little bit more peace of mind about how to go into that process. Please feel free to reach out to us too. I'll leave all of our contact information down in the description as well as at the end of our video. And so, thank you guys for joining us this evening. Once again, I'm Andrew Marshall with MHC Realty.
Rick.Gillespie, HomeBridge Financial.
And Parker.Morgan at Fidelity National Title.
Right
awesome. Thank you guys, and hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thanks,
guys.